What did she say?
You want me to repeat it?
So we got all the amounts and everything, and also when it was approved, when we had the, budget approved. Anything that anyone has a question on?
So what is the total amount being transferred?
1.2 million.
So is the board asking questions now or waiting until it's going to be voted on for discussion? Okay. Sheila?
Yes.
Okay, so I have a question. First, I have a couple of things to say. First off, you just told us that the auditor suggested we put this in the budget to offset the deficit, which I'm going to go on record as said publicly, and many people heard it, was that he's our auditor, and what he said publicly is he wasn't going to change any figures, but that's not true. If he added this to that, that's just my comment, and somebody else is investigating that. My other question is on the tort. It was my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, that if you're going to transfer money from the tort to another fund, it was for a one-time reoccurring expense. So if that's true, then I guess I'm asking what is the one-time non-reoccurring expense? And ultimately, it's going to, I mean, you're putting it in O&M, but it's not staying in O&M. It's going ultimately into education, which really amplifies my question about what that one-time request is. As an outsider looking in, it kind of looks like a shell game that we're playing, we're playing something, but we're taking from tort, which I never remember us doing it, but I'm not saying it's wrong, and we're putting it in the education fund, and it's like, where's the marble? What shell is it under? Because now we're going to take it from O&M, which we're always over on, and we're going to put it in the education fund, which ultimately makes it look like our education fund is higher.
We're basically removing excess fund balance where we need it the most.
Okay, that doesn't answer my question about tort. So can tort be used for anything? It's not. I thought it was for if we get sued and our insurance doesn't cover it, that we could use that money from there. But if we were going to move it out, it had to be for a one-time, non-reoccurring expense. Is that not true? I'm just asking. If I'm wrong on it, that's okay. I just want to know.
Hi, this is Marty McConaughey. I'm in the extra room too, which is interesting, but I'll try to be as direct as I can. You're right on both counts. The movement from tort does need to go to O&M first. That's a statutory law, because what is typically paid out of tort in our district and in most districts has to do with buildings. It's like the building insurance, and it's property liability and things like that. So the statute says if you're going to move excess fund balance out of tort, you must first move it to O&M. It doesn't have to stay there, and obviously it's not staying there in our case. We're moving it on to the ed fund where it is, as Sheila said, it's most needed. And you're also true that transfers are intended to be for a one-time, non-recurring needs or expenditures. And the one-time, non-recurring need, we're doing everything we can to make it non-recurring, is the deficit. And that deficit resides primarily in the ed fund. So we're moving $600,000 by direct flight from transportation and landing in ed. We're moving $600,000 from tort with one intermediate stop, which is O&M, and then on to the ed fund.
I just want to reiterate that these transfers were already done, and they impact the 1920 budget that the board approved in October.
other board members that were here. Do you, when Nick got up and gave that spiel about how they were changing any numbers or anything, do you remember him saying, I went back and kind of looked at those meetings. I don't remember him saying anything to us about, this already being in the budget.
State budget.
And people can agree or not, but it certainly looks like, we're like laundering money here. We're putting it in even though knowing that we're gonna ultimately put it in the education fund so that we have more money from that. And then, you know, the expectation is that board members will vote to do the transfer. I myself don't want my name put on anything like this. So it very well may have been, but I don't remember an explanation. I do remember very clearly Nick saying, and I asked you at that time, is it all right to have our auditor, which seems very suspect, that our auditor would be preparing with the township treasurer our budget?
Who are you saying is laundering money?
I said, that's what it looks like to me as an outsider. We're taking it from one,
I understand that.
we're taking it from one, no, I agree with you, I said what it looks like to me. We're putting it in one spot, I didn't say you did it, and if you took it that way, I'm sorry, but I didn't say that. What it looks like is that we're doing this to offset a deficit. And I don't believe that was fully explained to us in the budget, and whether it was or not, it's a new point, it's on here. I just want you to know how I feel, and it doesn't look right to me. That's it.
So this is statutorily fairly routine.
It might be allowed, and it might be allowed in other school districts. I don't believe we've ever done that here, and that's my question. And I have a right to question it.
So what Nick said on October 20th, oh, no, go ahead, finish on October 22nd, was that, we were questioning that first transfer and whether or not it would be reflected. He said he would make sure that the approved transfers are reflected in the audit. For the transfers listed in the budget, referring to these ones, he didn't say these specific funds,
Okay.
but the transfers listed in the budget are projections that don't necessarily have to be done, is what he said.
Thank you. I know
And also, the one thing that most people were questioning was that it was some sort of a glitch with the repeating amount of 600,000, and they're like, well, why are we doing double the amount? And it wasn't true fact at all. But that's when things started, when the budget was approved on the numbers that were not matching anything.
But George, it is true. So what she just said was 1.2 million, which is double the 600,000.
Well, yeah, back then, not now.
Well, just to correct you, in the original one, they had to go back and correct that because it was originally listed as
Right.
1.2 million. And then when we all questioned it, they went back and corrected it to reflect the first 600,000. It was in fact listed as $1.2 million originally. Question, Nick came back to that meeting and presented to us and said that on the 22nd, that the actual transfer that's already occurred for the $600,000 will be reflected. And then he said that these ones were projected. So he
Projected,
did-
they were
yeah.
not part of what.
Right, so he did go back and, but the first transfer we did that we were
Yeah,
questioning, it was listed
some sort of
wrong.
a means print.
Right, right, and
yeah.
that's why people were questioning.
I think it was 800,000.
I'm sorry, 800,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah. Too many numbers.
Last year?
Are we still doing roofs
For 19.
that need to be done? And
Yeah, I think we have, and Marty and Sheila help me out, I think we have 2 roofs going on right now, correct?
Yeah, I think that's,
Can you repeat that, Chris?
Do we have 2 roof projects going on currently?
Yes.
And the other question is, will there be any, charges, unforeseen charges, for getting classrooms COVID ready? So 'cause what I'm basically asking is if we're taking 600,000 out of O&M, are we gonna have what we need in O&M to take care of the roof projects that need to be done? Any additional, who would have thought, 6 months ago, we would need to be doing whatever for classrooms? Are we still gonna be able to, be solvent in that fund, or is this gonna?
Yeah, and I'll start that, and Sheila and Marty, if you could support me on some of the details, but Basically, some of the unforeseen costs that we're gonna allot some money for is coming out of the CARES Act funds. We do have quite a bit of that and have some orders out right now for technology, but there is an amount dedicated to protective equipment, cleaning supplies, gloves, I think they're infrared wands to clean electronics, and then some more of the Clorox to disinfect.
You are correct, Chris. We have close to $100,000 earmarked for the PPE and the cleaning supplies.
Have we received that money?
We have not received it yet.
Okay,
But we're gonna be fine in the O and M fund with the roof project and covering this until the CARES money comes in.
Did you guys hear that?
It's 1.1 million.
So are we gonna be fine then within the O and M fund with, these expenses until the CARES Act money comes in?
Yes, because we have a budgeted amount of 1.1 million for O&M fund balance.
Do we have any idea when, the funds are gonna be available?
I do not know when we're going to receive.
It's usually before October.
So the question was that,
We're
So
not.
when- well,
Can you hear us, Sheila?
We can't hear you.
Oh, we did respond.
Maybe try.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We're not sure when we're going to receive the funds yet. Typically around October, but we're just not sure that it'll be this fiscal year, but we're not sure exactly when we will receive it.
Thank you, Sheila.
You're welcome.
do we know if somebody calling in wants to make a statement? For this now?
We can make a statement by email or calling in. As soon as we do public comments, then we'll.
Okay. I thought that was around.
I have a question. The CARES Act funds, that's through the state or federal?
I believe the CARES Act funds is through the state, correct, Sheila?
Correct.
Oh, maybe it's both. Okay, so,
And I think it comes from Fresno too.
Federal.
they, and then they, so, do we have a contingency plan in place? Because we know how our, doesn't always follow through with, funds that are promised. Those funds didn't come through. Because I know the roof, however you say it, really needs to be done, so.
Sheila, that question was, do we have a contingency plan if we don't receive the CARES Act funds?
We would use the fund balance, the 1.16 million of fund balance.
Right, but I know that the roofs are very, very expensive. I just want to make sure that we have that backup, because we're definitely going to need all this stuff in this COVID craziness, so.
One other question, in regard to this. Custodial and maintenance salaries, do those come out of O and M or do they come out of, like, education with the teachers?
It comes out of O&M.
So, okay. So salary just dip into that $1 billion really quick by the end of the year. Especially since they have a contract coming up.
okay. Moving on, thank you, guys. Moving on with public comments.
Okay. Public comment. For anyone who is using their phone to call into the meeting, you will automatically appear in our list of attendees. The last 2 digits of your phone number will be called out. And at that time, if you wish, you will be able to make a public comment. You will have 10 seconds to press *6 to unmute yourself to make your public comment. If you don't say anything within that 10 seconds, we will move on to the next person. If you unmute yourself out of turn, our moderator will mute you again. Anyone wishing to make a public comment will have 3 minutes to speak. Please note, after the 3-minute mark, you will be alerted that your time is up and will then be returned to a muted state. That's for anyone calling in on the phone. For anyone joining via Google Meet, please check the chat box for the moderator's instruction on making public comment.
All right. Absent any chat box attendees volunteering, the first in line will be number 96 for public comment. Next in line will be number ending in 21. Two one has dropped out. Next ends in 49. Next number ends in 32. Next number ends in 73.
Hello, we can hear nothing of the public comments out here. So if you are broadcasting it, it's not coming through. All we get is empty air.
Joanne? There's been no public comment so far. I'm waiting for the phone, and then I do have to read one public comment.
Continuing on to the next number ending in 30. Next number ends in 34. Next number ends in 73 again. There were two 73s. And the final number ending in 21 rejoined the call just now. If you would like to make a public comment, hit *6 to unmute yourself. Otherwise, in 10 seconds, that will be the final call-in number, and there are no volunteers through the chat.
Hello? Hi, this is Simone Vitale. I'm here with a group of about 10 people outside who are hoping to be a part of the meeting today. I want to thank you for broadcasting it. I was wondering why we weren't allowed to attend today.
This is just public hearing on the fund transfers at this point.
I'm sorry, it's very hard to hear you.
Just the public comment on the fund transfers. The regular meeting, a special meeting hasn't started yet.
Thank you. Okay. I didn't realize that you guys were going to be broadcasting. I realize now that it was on your website. A lot of the people here are voicing concerns about the recent staff changes.
Okay, no, at this point, this is only the public hearing on the fund transfer. Do you have any comments concerning the fund transfer? The special meeting, public comment, the special meeting has not been called yet. At that point, there'll be another public comment. So do you have any?
I can vaguely hear you. You said you're not willing to address the staff changes at this time.
This is just, right now, the board is holding a public hearing on the fund transfer resolution. The special meeting has not been called to order yet. Do you have any comments concerning the fund transfer?
I heard you guys addressing some of the uses that you were planning, such as the PPE and things like that to get everything COVID ready. I was wondering if you guys are going to be releasing some sort of like list going forward of all of the things that you actually will be like spending the money on and kind of releasing that information for anybody who might be concerned.
So you have no comments on the fund transfers?
Well, she just asked if there would be a list of what that money is going to be spent on.
She has for PPE, yes.
Well, that we just discussed that
This
PPE.
is just whether or not the fund transfer is going.
Maybe she just needs to know that she'll have a chance to talk later. That's what, I don't think
But
she
you
does
need
yet.
to speak louder. Even I have a hard time hearing you.
Hi, so this is the public hearing for the fund transfers. We'll be doing the special meeting next, and there'll be, a public comment where you would call in and you could address that question then.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, have a good day.
You too. So I do
Thank you,
have-
bye-bye.
She said that was it. So I do have one, from Joanne Schaefer, resident. She is asking some questions. What is the money being used for regarding the transfers? Why does it need to be transferred?
Ask those questions. But the next one, the next one, he said that you can ask all of those questions. In the next meeting? Yes. Yes. We don't have. He has oh. Well, it's by the same. I'm trying to get back in. Give the number.
Hi, can you hear me?
I mean, again, it's bad that people get excited. We want a bigger house. We want a house with hopefully less work to do. Open floor plan. We've been eyeballing.
I don't know if you can hear me or not, but my name is Valerie, and my comment is, I would like to know how we can afford to transfer money out of our transportation fund when next year we're going to need three times.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna start it now, and I'm sorry, we didn't catch your name.
Valerie Fosselt.
Okay, thank you, Valerie.
I would like to know how we can afford to transfer money from our transportation fund when next year you're going to need 3 times as many buses to get the students to GW, since they will only be allowed to sit in alternating seats unless they are siblings. GW uses 10 buses currently. That requires 30 buses to get the same amount of students to George Washington next year. How are we going to afford that if you are taking money out of the transportation fund now to cover up your excessive spending?
That's how bad. I'm like, but if there's that, there's more than those.
Okay, thank you. Your comment has been heard.
I wrote it down. Do you want me to say it, Olivia? Yes, go ahead. She asked, she's concerned how can we be transferring money from the transportation fund when, this coming school year, we're going to have many more buses. She said 3 times the amount of buses. I don't know the exact amount, really.
She said 30.
Or 30 more buses because the kids have to sit every other seat unless they're siblings. So she's concerned how, if we're transferring the money out of the transportation fund, how we would cover the expense of the extra buses. I think that was it in a nutshell.
Is that something that would be covered by the CARES Act as well? Would this be an unforeseen cost for schooling?
the CARES Act is pretty flexible into how we, interpret the impact of the COVID related to our district. So yes, they gave us very flexible parameters. I'm gonna double check that information because, information on the guidance, which is on the website, and the webinar that we post on the website, says you can have 50 in the bus, which is 2 per seat. So I'll cross-reference that information.
Yeah, just make sure that it's not siblings only. Yeah, and I think like same thing with the meetings now, where you can have 50 people as long as they're wearing a mask. I'm guessing that's the bus situation too. I think, because they're supposed to wear a mask and you can't social distance. So.
Okay. So the moderator, again, had said there's no one in the chat room or on the phone. So I'm going to go back to Joanne Schaefer, resident, get some questions. Number one, what is the money being used for regarding the transfers? Why does it need to be transferred? Where and what is it going to be spent on? Number two, when was the revised budget on display for public viewing, and did the board get a copy? Number three, when was the board told of the transfers? Are we overspending that much in the ed fund? Number four, what one-time non-reoccurring expenses were paid within the $600,000 that was known about when the budget was drafted? 5, why did you take from tort to pay for expenses? Number 6, did you transfer from tort to O&M so that you could transfer to ed fund without adversely impacting the ISB district financial profile calculation? Number 7, the only place you can move tort money to is O&M for one-time, non-reoccurring expense. Please tell me what the one-time, non-reoccurring expenses are that you knew about. And that ends the public comment.
Okay. And now, I'm looking to adjourn, for a motion to adjourn at 6:32 p.m. Do I have a motion? I will make the motion.
I'll second that.
All right. Any?
Yeah, you do a roll call.
Okay,
Now
sorry.
because it's your motion.
Olivia Quintero?
Yes.
Vito Campanelli?
Yes.
Winifred Rodriguez?
Yes.
Shannon Johnson?
Yes.
Marge Jubicek?
Yes.
Sharon Anderson?
Yes.
George Torres?
Yes. Motion passes. All yeas? All right. 6:32. Anyone want to take a break or?
Yesterday, we were at dinner, and I had my personal room, and I had to take a big piece off that I was holding. It's bringing home with me, and it was in like a flimsy takeout container. It opened, and it hit me, and I heard it flat on the floor, and I was like, oh, it's not so bad. I got a couple spots on me, and oh, sorry about the floor. Not so bad, cleaned it up. Yeah, it's all within my person. All of that.
What was it?